All right. Good morning / afternoon, everyone. This is Marika with HoneyBook. Thank you so much for joining our Making Better Business Decisions webinar. We're super excited about this webinar. This whole month at HoneyBook is about the concept of making better business decisions generally and specifically with HoneyBook. So we're super excited to dive into this webinar today. But before we do, I just want to make sure that everyone can hear me okay. So on the right side of the screen there, where we've all been kind of posting a couple notes already, if a couple of you can just type in there, give me a hello, give me your name, anything just to let me know that you can indeed hear me. Pretty important. And I will also post a note in there just in case. So if anything does come up, hopefully everyone's okay in terms of the audio, but if anything does come up, as I mentioned just there, just try logging in from a different browser or refreshing the page, and one of those two things usually addresses the issue. Awesome, awesome. This is fantastic. We have such a great crowd today. Now sing for us. Maybe at the end, Wiley. We'll see. Cool. Okay, so that is out of the way. Now, of course, we have also already discovered that right-hand side chat box, which is perfect for asking questions along the way. Now, I will probably be trying to get through as much content as possible. However, we do have one of our star customer success managers on the line in the chat, Mac from HoneyBook. So if you do have any questions, feel free to post those in the chat, and Mac will try to get to those as quickly as she can. And then if we have any time at the end of the webinar, I'll try to get through a couple as well. And finally, this webinar is recorded. I believe we will be sending you a recording of the webinar after it completes today, but we will also, you're also always able to just come back to this link that you used to log in just now, and the webinar recording will be available basically as soon as we wrap up. I will talk fast. It is a personality trait of mine. I try to take it back as much as I can, but it happens, and we have a lot of content to get through. So do remember that that recording will be available to you whenever you need it. Okay, all right, so we have the agenda. We talked about housekeeping. One more bit here, just a kind of reminder as to who this webinar is for. Well, anyone can really benefit, but it is going to be particularly great for folks with existing businesses. Maybe you've been around for a year or two or three, and you're looking to kind of take things to the next level. But even if that's not the case, not to worry, there will be plenty in here for you as well. It is, though, also beneficial if you're already a little bit familiar with HoneyBook, or maybe you've been through our HB 101 webinar. If you have not, I recommend checking that out, because that is where you're going to get all of the basics, all the how-tos of all the basics, all the setup, because we'll touch on a few of them today, but we're going to skim through them for the most part. However, again, goal is still to provide enough context to make sure that this does all make sense, even if you're totally brand new. Alrighty, rest of the agenda for today. So to reiterate, the theme of today is how HoneyBook can help you make better business decisions. So we will be honing in on a few of our many features that really do play into that specifically, and then connect the dots a little on how those features not only can be used generally, so we'll do a little bit of how-to, but also how they can be used to help you make those great business decisions. So today, a couple of the themes we're going to talk about. We'll talk about how HoneyBook features can help you with qualifying your leads. Specifically, we'll talk about using your contact forms and your brochures to help you scrub your leads right off the bat. And then, of course, how HoneyBook can help you save time and stay organized. In particular, again, the contact form, then we'll look at our project pipeline a little, and some of our automations that we have that can help you do that, save time, stay organized, and why those things are important to making business decisions broadly. And then finally, we'll look at how HoneyBook can help you gather and interpret your data. So a little more numbers driven on that side of things. Obviously, the aforementioned contact forms and brochures, we talked about how those already can help you qualify leads, but they can also help you gather data that will help you with your long-term decision-making, in addition to that short-term qualification. And we'll look at how all of those things kind of come together in reports. And then finally, any remaining questions, again, hopefully Mac will be able to get through any of those along the way, but if we have a few minutes, I'll try to get through a couple as well. Quick reminder though, for anyone that is a little bit newer to HoneyBook, I just wanna lay this out there so everyone knows kind of what we're dealing with here. What is HoneyBook? Well, HoneyBook is an all-in-one business management platform that helps creative small business owners like yourselves power your booking process from first touch all the way through to final payment, because our goal here is to make sure that you enjoy the freedom of being your own boss. boss. That is sort of the ultimate goal, right? So that is what we're shooting for here. And in HoneyBook, you're not going to need to bounce between systems to see your emails over here and your payments over there and your contracts over in that platform. It is all going to be streamlined into HoneyBook to make your life a whole lot easier. And since everything is in one place, everything you need to make those decisions for your business is here. That all-in-oneness is really what allows you to qualify your leads quickly, save time, and then interpret that data that comes up. Alrighty. Now, again, before we really dive into the product, I want to do one quick kind of high-level sweep about how the concepts that I mentioned help you make better business decisions. Some are a little bit more obvious than others. So in terms of qualifying your leads, this one is pretty obvious, right? So asking the right questions right away, off the bat, means that you can decide at a glance if it's business you want to take on in a matter of minutes versus hours or even days sometimes, right? If you're having to go through setting up phone calls or anything like that. So being able to ask those questions off the bat makes sure that you choose your business wisely and get to spend more of your very precious time with the best potential clients. Then, of course, our saving time and staying organized. I am sure everyone can relate to the fact that it is nearly impossible to make 100% great decisions when you're making them hastily and you feel like your head is spinning in a million different directions. So anything you can do to give yourself some time back in your day and making that effort to keep your workflow organized is going to ensure you have the time and the headspace to focus on those business decisions big and small. And then, of course, gathering and interpreting data, incredibly important, but often overlooked and kind of hard to do. We try to simplify that. We did also quickly touch on how you can ask those right questions in a few different places to qualify at the very beginning, but you can also take those same opportunities to gather data that will help you with that long-term decision-making as well. And you can get a better sense of your financials to predict cash flow, understand how various channels are doing in terms of conversion, and if you need to make any changes in any of those areas, hopefully this data will help you in terms of making those decisions. Okay, enough slides. I know decks are not exciting, so I'm going to head right into the product right now. So first off, let's talk about our leads. We'll start at the very beginning, qualifying your leads. So potential clients, they might be finding you and reaching out through any number of channels, right? And that is awesome. If you're in all sorts of different places and you're getting leads from a lot of places, but it makes it a little bit difficult to control the situation. So first of all, communication is already kind of starting off fragmented, right? If you have something coming in through Facebook and through Instagram and through Gmail and all of these different places. And you don't know what these people are going to be saying to you in that initial communication. They might be reaching out with their entire life story and every detail of the project that they need, or they might swing the total other way and just give you their first name and expect that to be enough for a follow-up. So this is where HoneyBook comes in. So let's say someone has reached out to you, maybe via Facebook Messenger, if you got a Facebook business page, with their name and their email. They say they're interested in working with you, but not a whole lot of other information. So instead of going back and forth on Facebook or even, taking it to email where things are already starting to get a little bit fragmented, let's just head right into HoneyBook. So the first thing that you will do, and if you're already kind of familiar with HoneyBook, you'll know, step one, you will always come in and create a project. That will be step one if someone ever says they're interested in working with you, even if someone stops you on the street and says, hey, you look like a nice photographer, I'd like to work with you, you will head into HoneyBook and create a project. You will always need a project in place in order to communicate with your clients. A project is essentially the folder that is going to contain everything related to a particular job with a particular client. So step one, create a project. That is what we're going to do right now. So you will always see this little new button up here in the top right corner. All I'm going to do right now, click new project. We'll give it a little project name here. If you've been on any of my other webinars, you might have seen these. We will select a project type. This is very important, and you will notice this in a few different places. And I would like to point out, you can always adjust this list if you need. So these project types are basically just the different kinds of business you might be doing. So if you're like a photographer, maybe you shoot birthday parties, corporate events, weddings, etc., you can add those as project types. This is important information to collect up front, whether you're doing it yourself here or whether you're asking people about it in the various ways we'll see. but just want to kind of point that out here, and lead source as well, how you heard about this. So in this case, or how they heard about you rather, in this case, we know it came from Facebook. Any other kind of details that you've gotten about this project, we actually don't know, right? She kind of just gave us her name, gave us her email. All we need to create the project is this information. So I'll click that Create Project button. It'll prompt me to add my participant. So again, we know her email address and her name. This is our gal, Leslie Yep here. And now we will add her as a participant to the project. Now again, if you're a little bit newer to HoneyBook, the participant is going to be the person or people that receive everything related to this project. So if you're sending files or emails, that email address that you just added as a participant is who's going to get it. Okay, so now that that's in place, one great way to start qualifying these leads coming in from outside, maybe they're not coming in through a contact form or anything like that, they've found you on Facebook or on the street, whatever the case may be, great way to start qualifying them is by sending them a brochure. Now, that might seem a little counterintuitive. Brochures, as you know them, are just kind of, folded up beautiful paper things that you hand to someone and hope for the best. But in HoneyBook, a brochure is a much more dynamic file that you can do a lot of different things with. So I want to see how we can use a brochure file to qualify this lead and have her qualify us back. So any file that I'm going to send, I'm going to start by clicking this New File button. We see all of our file types. And again, if you're unfamiliar with these, definitely check out our HB 101 webinar. This will probably not be the last time I plug that. It is very helpful. Now, when you're starting with any file in HoneyBook, again, as you might know, you can either start totally from scratch or work off some existing framework, maybe a brochure you've sent recently, kind of tweak that, or you can start from a template. I would like to plug templates here. If you're unfamiliar, templates in HoneyBook allow you to create the framework for various pieces of your account. Now, in this case, maybe we have a really similar brochure that we send over and over. Maybe we switch it up a little bit, do a little bit of tweaking, but the core is the same. We can save that as a brochure template to then apply to this project and make any small changes that we need instead of totally starting from scratch every stinking time. Now we can do this with all of our file types and we can do this with emails as well. So I just wanted to start plugging templates now. If you don't know about them, they are the backbone of so much of the stuff that you will do in HoneyBook. So I'm going to start from a brochure template here. Now we do actually also have a webinar specifically about brochures, so I'm not going to go through all of the nitty-gritty about how to create this, but I want to point out a couple things just so you know. So brochure files, again, really, really flexible. We can include things like beautiful imagery as we see here. We can upload all of this ourselves to match our brand that we have elsewhere. We can add some text. We can add just straight up text if we want to talk about the story of our business or a little bit description about us. And you can break this up into these great sections to kind of keep all of this organized. Now, the other thing you can do in brochures, again, a little bit more standard brochure, is add the services that you offer. So in this case, what we've done in this template is add a couple package templates. These are essentially just kind of groups of items that commonly go together, right? So we have like our basic package for 5,000, and we have our premium package for 6,000 some. So we've added a couple here, and what we'll do is allow our client, we'll see our little gear icon here, to select one of these items so we know what they are interested in. They can really easily review the things that we offer and say, yep, click, I want this one. This is non-committal, no one is paying, no one is signing. It's just you can start that conversation about who is interested in what. Now, that is how your client can qualify you. You've included information about yourself and your services, but we can also use these brochures to qualify them because we don't know much about this person yet. So the other thing that brochures allow you to add are these questions. Now we have a couple in here already, some basic stuff, right? When is your event taking place? Color scheme, whatever makes the most sense for your business. But we can add a few more. This is where you're going to want to get that information off the bat to make sure that this business is something that you want to look into further. So let's add another couple questions here. I'm just going to add by clicking that little plus button, and maybe we'll add a question here, and we'll say we want a single choice. What's your price range? Oops, in the right place would be preferable. What's your price range? And we'll say whatever, 1,000 to 3,000. 3,000 to 5,000, and you can build this out with as many as few as you need. Okay, you make it really basic here. Now, of course, you can add as many of these as you need. You'll notice a whole bunch of different question types that you can add. So you can really set this up to suit your business and ask the questions that are most important for you to get answers to right off the bat. Are they looking for services you can provide? Are they in the right location? Are they looking for a price point that aligns? So you can get those question answers now while still providing value to them. So they don't feel like they're being, given the third degree. You're still giving them a whole bunch of info about yourself. Now, since we're here, let's just go ahead and send this off. Just in case you're unfamiliar with the process of sending files, I'm going to click that review email, can tweak this email that goes out with my file if I need, and go ahead and send that off. Now, again, that is going to go right to Leslie's email inbox. She will get an email that I attached with a big button that says, click here to view your brochure, which you can open and make those selections and answer those questions from any device. Now, even better is to head your leads off at the pass, right? So this person came in via Facebook and this was kind of like step 2. Let's just start at step 1. And how we do that is your contact form, which we can embed or share in places where your potential clients can find it. So to head to our contact form, I'm going to click on Tools and Contact Form here. Now, our contact form, if you are unfamiliar, is basically just a means of collecting information from potential clients. And this is something that you can, as I mentioned, embed on a website really easily if you have a website that you want to do that, or you can just share a link. If you either don't feel like embedding or you don't have a website, no problem at all. You can still use this in a whole bunch of different places just with a link. So again, really quickly, we have a webinar on how to use and how to build a contact form. So I'm not going to go through all of the things you can do, but suffice it to say, it is just as flexible as the brochure. You can add beautiful things like images, adjust the formatting, the fonts, the colors, all sorts of good stuff. So I want to head to one of our contact forms here. And it will be the same process in terms of adding questions. So here we have your full name, your email, where this event is taking place, what package they're interested in. And another thing to note on your contact form, you will also notice our little gear icon here as well. This is how you can determine if a question is required. So if you want to make sure that they fill in this project date, we can toggle that on so they will not be able to submit that form without answering that question. So again, really making sure that you get the answers you need. And of course, same process as adding questions in the brochure. We just click our plus button and add any questions that we need here. Now, I would also like to make one more plug for these 2 questions, project type and lead source. Now you can tell what we've kind of edited the text of these a little bit. Instead of saying, what project type is this and what lead source are you? We've made them sound a little more friendly. But you can tell where these answers are going to go. If you click this little or hover over this linked icon, you can see where this information is going to pull to. Because this leads me to a very important point. When someone submits a contact form, that is going to automatically create a project in HoneyBook for you. So I do not need to go in and manually do that. So when they answer these questions, that project will be created, just like we saw how I created it manually. All that information will be in there for me, and these answers will pull into these various fields of the project details. So project type and lead source are really, really important for long-term stuff as well. Lead source, we'll see in reports how you can start to get a great sense of again, how those channels are doing. Project types give you a good sense of what types of business are getting the most traction. So these are really important questions to include in there on top of some of these really basic contact information type stuff. So we've now set our contact form up the way we want. We've edited the formatting, the fonts, the colors, looks great. Couple ways to share this. Now I mentioned that you can embed on your website. I'm going to publish changes. Up in the right-hand corner, your publish button. This is going to give you your very, very wonderful basic code. This is really simple to embed. You can just copy this code, and then you'll also notice these embedding instructions linked here. This takes you to some of our kind of most popular websites that we see. And if you don't see your website on there, definitely reach out to our concierge team, which I will tell you how to do at the very end there, and they can walk you through any website that you have that's not in this list. However, if you don't feel like embedding, or you don't have a website, or you don't have one that's compatible, that might happen too, all you gotta do is share your direct link. I'm gonna click this little menu icon over here in the top left corner, and right there at the very bottom, you will see get a direct link. I can click this little copy button to copy it, and then I can share that on my social channels, Facebook business page. Maybe I have, my link tree in Instagram. I can include this in email footers, anywhere. Even if I do have a website but don't feel like embedding, I can just kind of like make this a button, right? Just have that as a link in a button, and it just pops it open in another browser tab for my client to fill out. Now, once again, when someone does submit that contact form, automatically creates a project for me. You can also, of course, always do a combination of those things. If I want to do an embedding and I want to include the direct link somewhere, I can do that as well. Both of those things are going to do the exact same thing. So it's really just a matter of making sure your clients can find it. All right. We've talked about qualifying your leads now. The brochure, the contact form, those are two really great ways to do that. Now, I want to dive into the saving time and staying organized piece of this. So we all know that a kind of main goal of HoneyBook overall is to make you more efficient and organized. But how does that help you make decisions for your business? Think about how it feels to be underwater with admin tasks, or how it feels to have to actively think about your process every time you have a new project, or to not know where to find information that you need. When that is your world, you are in the weeds all the time. We've all been there in some way or another. And you don't have the time or the headspace to focus on strategy at all, or give business decisions, big or small decisions, the attention that they deserve. So here are a few features in particular that I want to point out that really help with this. All right, first one is what you're looking at right now, your contact forms. So since you do need projects in place 100% of the time to send any client communications through HoneyBook, contact form submissions make sure that A, projects are automatically created for you, as I've already mentioned. So you do not need to manually enter all that information. You don't need to collect it yourself. You don't need to write it on your hand. It is all going to be just automatically funneled into HoneyBook and creating that project for you. And the information that you're collecting is going to be standardized. So you always know what you're getting, and you always know where to find it. So I do want to do a really quick show of what it looks like when a contact form submission comes in, so you can actually see that. So I've popped open the direct link in this other tab here. Now, again, this is just a link to my contact form. I haven't even embedded it anywhere. I've already filled out a little bit of information for our gal here, her name, her email. We'll say she's interested in the silver package, project date. So a bit of information here, fill in her type of project she's looking for, where it came from, fine. Now we'll go ahead and send that in. Oh no, why does it make me do this every time? I'm not a robot. All right, thank you, sent successfully, fantastic. Okay, so that was me as the client. Now I'm gonna head back in to me as the vendor. I'm gonna pop right back over to my projects pipeline. Now, we were in here earlier. I don't know if you noticed this inquiry was at 2 before. It is now at 3 because our project was just automatically created. Leslie Yep's project. So if I pop that open, now I can see everything. This is my activity feed here. So this is where everything's going to be tracked on my back and forth with her. And this is step 1, right? She has given me all the information that I need right off the bat. Now, that project pipeline does bring me to my next point. This is another tool of the HoneyBook organizational suite of tools that is incredibly helpful. This helps you get a handle on the million different moving pieces of your many projects. So the project pipeline basically just offers a bird's eye view of where everything stands via a series of chronological project stages, which is what you see here. Now, certain actions that you or your clients take will automatically move projects down this pipeline so that you, A, don't have to do it, and B, always get a real-time kind of visual overview of your entire book of business. So why is that helpful? Well, knowing where everything stands helps you prioritize tasks for any current projects or incoming projects, as well as giving you the context you need to make decisions on those incoming project requests. So like if you have 20 projects in the follow-up stage right now, and you get a new inquiry, maybe you want to write them back and say, like, I don't really have time right now. You want to make sure that you don't go insane. So it's going to help you get that really quick overview of what you actually have time for and prioritize any tasks. So taking some of that organizational stuff off your plate, again, leaves you with that time, leaves you with that headspace you need to run your business. And remember, just quick plug, you can always add stages to this if you need to really sort of suit your business with this customize button. So if you have a couple other stages of your particular business workflow, you can throw those in as well. Now, I did mention that projects will automatically pop their way through this pipeline based on some things that you do that your client does. So that is one version of automations that HoneyBook has in place. But I want to take a look at the ultimate in time savers, some of our other automations. Now, we have a few different automations that you can mix and match to suit your business. And important to note that even though those things are happening and are automated, you can still keep control over the branding and the messaging of everything that goes out. We want to make sure this feels like you, not like a robot. So we're going to look at how to do that as we look at some of these automations that really save you time and keep you organized. Before diving into that, though, I want to make one more quick plug for templates. Now, I mentioned them. I want to point you out to where they are in our tools section here. Templates. This is where you can create all of that framework for your various file types and your emails. So if you're going to start setting up some of these automations, it is really important to make sure that you have some of these templates set up the way you want them in advance. Now, in particular, your email templates. So these are maybe various email languages that you use over and over in various situations. You want to make sure you have those, some brochures, 1 or 2 or 3, as many as you need, and maybe your questionnaires as well, because some of our automations are going to pull out these templates in particular. So definitely check out this template section. If you have questions on creating your templates, we have a whole bunch of information in our help center, which we can link you to at the end, or Matt can link you to if she has time now, because these are very, very important. So again, for automations, make sure you have emails, brochures, and questionnaires in place. So now let's take a look at some of our automations. So for our first set of these, I want to head up here to my profile pic, top right corner, and company settings. Then down to our preferences tab. Real quick, this is also where you can adjust those lists of project types and lead sources if you ever need to do that. But at the bottom here, we have your actions and your payment reminders. These are 2 versions of our automations. So actions can just take some of that stuff off your to-do list that you think you want to do, but maybe you forget, making sure that both you and your clients stay organized. So we see a couple options here. You can choose to automatically send a questionnaire to a client a few weeks before a project. Now, again, you'll notice that drop down with our questionnaire templates and some email templates that we can select. So that's why you want to have those templates in place. And we have a reminder if a client hasn't viewed a file within a few days. And you can also choose to expire files at a certain point to make sure that your client attends to them in a timely manner. So you can do a couple actions here. Again, mix and match as you need. Very exciting, though, are our payment reminders. Again, taking stuff off your to-do list, you don't have to remember to remind your clients to pay, and you get to feel secure in the fact that money will be in the bank in the amounts and at the times you expect it, which, as I'm sure you know, crucial to ensuring that everything else runs smoothly. So a few different options here, which again, you can choose to have them all on, a couple of them on. The upcoming reminder will be sent out a week before a payment due date. So if someone has a payment due, 7 days from now and then 6 months from now, they'll get an email today, and then they'll also get one a week before that next payment in 6 months. Outstanding if they've missed a payment, and on the due date itself. Or of course, if you have any recurring auto pay, you can do that too. And you will notice this customize button. This is where you can customize the language that goes out with that emails to make sure, again, that it does not sound like a robot and in fact sounds like you. So those are the actions, the parent reminders, pretty basic automations that you can set up, but very, very helpful. But if you want to take those automations to the next level, that is when you will head to your workflows. What's a workflow? Gonna head to my tools section here and workflows. So workflows in HoneyBook allow you to, again, kind of automate steps in your project, life cycle so that you don't have to remember to do some of this stuff. You can use these as applied manually to projects. You can also attach these automatically to contact form inquiry submissions. So if someone submits a contact form, you can have a workflow that automatically sends them a brochure today, maybe sends them a follow-up email in a week, things like that, so that you don't have to remember to do that. They know their contact form submission has been received, all this stuff. So let's create a really basic workflow, maybe that we'll use for our contact form inquiry moving forward. So I'm just going to click Create Workflow here, and these are your options in terms of creating a workflow. We can send brochures or questionnaires, can send emails, and create tasks for ourselves. This is just internal. So I want, number one, maybe we'll send a brochure. As soon as someone submits a contact form inquiry, this is the first thing that I want to happen. Now again, this is why I want those templates in place, because we get to choose our brochure template that gets sent, and we get to choose the email that gets sent with the file. So let's say this one, we want to make sure this goes our brochure. And since we want this to go out automatically, like instantly, as soon as someone submits a contact form inquiry, we're going to say that this goes out 0 days after activating this workflow. Now we'll show you how activating the workflow is basically just going to be that contact form submission is the activation. And then we're going to make sure this goes out automatically. I don't need to check it out. I just know that's what I want. Step 2, though, maybe I do want to make sure that I have a sense of what's going on with that project before it goes out. I'm going to create another step here with this plus button. We're going to send an email this one. Maybe we want it to be like a follow-up email a week later. So again, we get to select our email template. Maybe we have, let's see, oh, we'll just pick a random one here. Sure. Now this one I want a week later. So I'm going to say 7 days, also after activating the workflow. But I want to approve this before sending because maybe someone has written back to me or I've had a phone call with them. So I don't want this to go out without me knowing and it sounds weird. So I'm going to say approve before sending. Now what this will do is create a task in my project, which I can then check out and say, yep, I want to send this, or no, I don't want to send this. So I'll always get to check it out before it sends. But it allows me to only click a button instead of needing to remember to remind this person, to write the whole email from scratch. All of this stuff is being taken off my plate. Now I can build this out as much or as little as I need. Let's keep this kind of basic right now. We'll say that this is like inquiry workflow. And then we want to make sure that this is the workflow that's attached to any inquiry that comes in. So I'm going to click Save and head back to our workflow dashboard. And you'll notice this Automate via Contact Forms section. So the cool thing about this is I can actually create different workflows for different project types. Now, this is another reason to have that project type question included in your contact form. Maybe someone coming in for a birthday party, I want them to get, happy birthday, excited to work with you as their first email. But someone coming in for a corporate event, I want to have an entirely different email. So I can say that this party workflow, I want to make sure it goes out to anyone who selects birthday as their project type. But this event workflow, I want to make sure it goes to anyone with the wedding. Everything else, though, I want to get that kind of overarching inquiry workflow that I just created. So for this, instead of selecting a project type, I can just say that that's the default. So for anything else that comes in that isn't birthday or wedding, they will just automatically be dropped into that inquiry workflow, get that standard brochure, get that email, and that is off my plate. So again, just a quick reminder, this takes those nitty-gritty admin tasks off your plate, gives you back some of that time, gives you back some of that headspace you need to run your business successfully and efficiently. So hopefully this, again, saves you lots of time, helps keep you a little bit organized. All right. Oh, are people having a blurry screen? All right, well, hopefully the recording won't be so bad. But let me know. Just try refreshing your browser if something's going on. All right. Our final topic of the day, gathering and interpreting your data. Now, again, this helps with the future business decisions. We've streamlined our procedure. We've given ourselves back some time and some headspace. We've qualified our leads with the right information. And we also saw that the places that we had available to ask those qualifying questions are also perfect for gathering info for longer-term business analytics, such as lead source, project type, and bear in mind that all of your financial data, so when you get paid through HoneyBook, That is all automatically collected for you as well. So that is great data to have. Let's finish the session up by looking at how that all comes together in reports too. So I'm going to click on Tools and then Reports here. So the idea behind HoneyBook reports is that they provide insights into your business to empower you to grow. And collecting information with your brochures and contact forms, for example, make sure that you know like what lead sources are performing well. So you know what channels you can concentrate on, where to put your marketing dollars, things like that. And as I mentioned, we do also automatically record your payment information. So you have your financials ready at a glance and you're super ready for example, tax season coming up. So I want to take a quick look at some of these available reports here. So we got, first off, your monthly report, your bar chart. Now this, pretty basic, shows you the number of bookable files you sent. So those are invoices, contracts, proposals, versus the number of projects that you booked within each month. So that was something that got paid or signed. So you can see the success rate of the files, and maybe you sent 4 invoices that month, but your 3 invoices, but you only booked 2 projects, or if the numbers are a little bigger, you can always be like, well, maybe I want to take a look at those invoices that I'm sending. Maybe I want to make some changes to that based on that success rate. So again, a pretty basic overview of this, but can give you a sort of sense of how those files are performing. Then we have your projects report. This is kind of a nice high-level view. Again, pretty self-explanatory. Now, what you don't see here are the project types. However, if you download the CSV, which you see here, that will show you the project types. So you can get an overview of those numbers as well. And payment values are recorded here. So again, gives you that nice high-level view of what's going on. Human error is removed. Not that you guys ever make mistakes, but just in case, that human error is removed. Everything is automatically collected for you. So you can see those payments, see how everything's doing, download the CSV to get that project type information as well, maybe see what business is gaining the most traction. Then we have your leads reports. Now there is a lot going on here. Few different breakdowns of your leads. Again, this is why you want to ask that "where did you hear about me" question in the brochures, in the contact form. Collect that information yourself. If you find this lead from outside of HoneyBook, definitely collect it because this report is going to be really, really helpful. Now, again, in particular, it's great for assessing how your various channels and marketing efforts are performing. So you can make adjustments and learn where to put your marketing dollars moving forward. So your distribution here, breakdown of where your leads have come in from based on the lead sources you've set up in your company settings. So, okay. So we have a lot of unknowns and then a few others here as well. Yours will probably be a little bit more evenly distributed. We got your leads value here as well. So that shows you the value of projects based on your lead sources. So maybe you know that projects coming in from your vendor referrals, for example, so other vendors, and your client referrals are way more valuable than any other lead source. So that is where you want to focus moving forward. Conversion rate shows you what percentage of leads from a particular lead source have been booked, i.e. a payment has been made. So again, giving you a sense of what lead source gave you the best leads, and time to booked. So that's just the average number of days between when a lead is created via the contact form and when a project is booked, i.e. when a payment is made, broken down by that lead source. So all of this together will give you incredible insight into the performance of all these various lead sources. And again, one more time to hammer it home, helps you determine whether your marketing efforts are well placed now or if you can kind of rearrange things to better suit the most successful sources, your audience as it stands, things like that. And finally, in your report section, we have your yearly and monthly analytics reports. Now, this is where you want to be for tax season, if that's important to you. Hopefully it is. These annual and monthly reports will give you a higher level view of your analytics from specific years or months. So all of your raw data is downloadable here. You can download it by year, or you can download it by individual month, or both. So this gives you, again, all that raw data ready for you to manipulate it however you need. So you can find financial trends and seasonality. You can predict cash flow and prepare for slower periods or, plan for investments, things like that. Now, again, This is where you want to be for tax season because all of the information from all of the financials you've collected over the last months and years is going to be tracked here and itemized in a way that you need it to be for tax purposes so that you're not guessing. Very important. So that is the end of our demo, I believe. So before we do address any last minute questions, I want to point out a couple of very important things. Learning a new system, even learning an old system, even if you've been on the system for years, I'm betting you'll have questions, and that is just part of the deal. You will notice this very small but very important button at the bottom right corner of every HoneyBook page, your question mark icon. This is how you get in touch with our team by clicking Message Us. Our concierge team, they are available 7 days a week by chat at these hours. So you can always just start a new conversation with them and ask any questions that you have after this webinar has wrapped up. They are always happy to help and an absolute delight. Masters of GIFs, so if you just want a good laugh, they're a good person to go to as well. You will also notice from this question mark icon that you can head to our other product webinars, which I recommend. Again, if this was kind of over your head, maybe you're a little bit newer, head to our HP 101 webinar, or you can head to any of our kind of more specific webinars. We have one on brochures. We have one that's specific to workflows and the contact form, and then a few others as well. And of course, our help center is linked here too, so you can always head in for that kind of written how-tos, or we have videos as well on pretty much every feature. So if you want more of a step-by-step on how to set the stuff up, chances are you can find that information in the help center. You will also notice, I believe, at the very bottom of your webinar screen, a button that says Making Better Business Decisions Written Guide. This is basically written format of the webinar, so you can always head in there as well. And finally, while I still have the majority of your attention before we do get to questions, I have a survey for you. I'm really sorry. I know surveys are super annoying. It is super fast. It's like 5 questions maybe, takes you a couple minutes. It is really, really important for us to know how this webinar went, how we can do better in the future. So if you do have a couple minutes, please take that time, fill out that survey, let me know how I did, what I can do better, what we as HoneyBook as a whole can do better as well. Okay, if anyone would like to stick around for any remaining questions, we have a few more minutes, getting everyone out of here a little early. I told you I talk fast. I warned everyone. So if there's anything else, we can take a few more minutes here. I think Mac has gotten to pretty much everything. I'm gonna skim through here and just make sure, but feel free to keep them coming. All right, thank you, Mac, for being so on top of things. Someone says, HoneyBook has the most amazing customer service team. That is what we shoot for. They love what they do. They love you guys. Michelle says, if I would like to schedule a business call, how can I send out a link to schedule a call using HoneyBook if there is no project? Great question, Michelle. So we don't have that functionality right now. However, keep your eyes open because it's pretty close down the road. We don't know exactly when, but we will let you know. But we actually do have something in the works to kind of suit that need. So in the meantime, we don't have a way of setting up something to schedule, like, selecting availability, but you can always create a new meeting in your calendar. So it's a little more manual. You'd have to create that meeting and then email someone separately, or maybe like set the meeting up and then create the meeting within your calendar. And you can connect it to a project if you have a project, but you don't have to. But definitely keep an eye out because we have a lot of really exciting stuff coming out in the next couple months. Questions in the questions tool, said Wiley. Let's see. What does the approve from a workflow look like? Is it sent to your email? So it's not sent to your email. It will essentially just, if I open up a project, you'll see on the right-hand side here, kind of your project options section, something will appear in your tasks. So you'll be able to see, like, there will be a kind of like, I think it'll just say like approve this email, and it will be able to open it up for you, and you can say like, yep, send it. So that will be in your task for the appropriate project. Is there an easy way to see how many leads come in each year? Hopefully I addressed that with the reports question. So that leads breakdown will be the way to go. Is there a way to see a breakdown of projects were archived? Not at the moment. I don't think that's in the reports, but I know that they were actually working to make that archived reason a little bit more transparent and make it a little bit more helpful. So again, I would keep an eye out for updates down the road, because I think that's something like that is coming as well. Okay, no, Max addressing some of these. Will there be an integration with Facebook Messenger? Not that I know of, but that's a great idea. Something to note is we are always looking for your thoughts, your feedback, things that make your life easier. So my suggestion is, when you do think of this, and we can take this as we hear it now, but if you think of anything down the line, just let our concierge team know, again, with that question mark icon, and we track all of those product feedback requests. So definitely let us know the things that would be helpful for you. Can you add a third party to a project and invite them to a meeting, but not allow them to see all the details of the project? Great question. So short answer, based on what I'm assuming you mean, is probably no, but when a client, any client that is not you or a teammate is in your project, they can only see the stuff in the activity feed, files, and any payments that have been made. So they can't see the actual details, and they can see the details, I'm sorry, but what they can't see is any like notes that you've added, so any notes here, and any of the stuff on the right-hand side. So there isn't a way to sort of specify permissions for your various participants, but no one will see, no participants other than your team will see the stuff on the right. So the stage, the lead source, things like that. So probably not quite what you're looking for, but that's sort of what your clients will see. Is there a way to edit a questionnaire once it has been submitted? Unfortunately not. Those are kind of stuck, but you can always send another one. I know that's not ideal, but that's the way that that would work. Rachel, to your point on the library, yes, a really good point. I think I'm sure our team has collected that information as well, and we will pass that on to you. I know that that's a little bit of a bear. Whew, a lot more coming in. Captcha code at the end of input form is so annoying. Yeah, unfortunately, that's a Google thing, Rob. Not sure there's much you can do about that one, or just general internet thing. And Jenny, best way to get in touch with our team is the chat icon. That question mark, you can send in a chat or send in an email. And if at that point we feel that it's beneficial to set up a phone call, then we can do that as well. Suggestions to HoneyBook: make your own website and allow payments through PayPal, Venmo. All great suggestions. Again, we really do take these very seriously. So keep them coming. Any suggestions that you have, always really helpful. Once again, if those come up in your brain after this webinar, question mark icon here at the bottom right corner, and message us, get in touch with our team. All right, it sounds like questions may be slowing down. Yes, and adding levels of permissions definitely would be helpful. We agree with that, Danon. All right, anything else? Let's see. Jenny, thank you. We think you're the best. A lot of love. We love to hear that. Just to reiterate, we love you guys so much. It is just an absolute joy to work with all of you guys. We think our members are just the best in the world. And in green, the project types can be edited in your company settings. You'll also notice an option when you're kind of adding that question. You'll see it a lot, but it's in the preferences of your company settings is where you can edit those project types and lead sources. Just click that edit button. Stephen, the app version of HoneyBook tutorials. So we actually have some stuff in our help center. I don't think we have much in the way of videos, but I'm the gal in charge of that. So if that would be helpful, I can work on that as well. But there should be a whole section in the help center with written instructions on much of the app. So definitely check that out and let us know if that is not helpful. If there's anything else that would be helpful. Again, we love adding stuff for you guys. Can I see a list of clients that hired me last year month by month? I think your best option, Patricia, again, would be your reports, maybe that yearly or monthly, report at the bottom of the report section. Download that so you can see. You can also download the yearly one so if you can kind of get a broader sense but still see the month. So that would be my suggestion. If that's not exactly what you're looking for, again, I'd recommend chatting into our team, and maybe I'm missing part of your question and they can direct you to something a little more specific to you. Thank you, Mac, for that. Lisa, there isn't an option to add Venmo payment specifically for your client. Yes, correct. As Max said, we have our own payment processor. However, if anything does come in outside of HoneyBook, you can always use the quote unquote mark as paid option in an invoice or a proposal, which allows you to say like, okay, I know this came in via Venmo, they paid this much, so you can track that way. But we don't, as Max said, integrate with any third-party payment processors. All right, we do have a few more minutes, so I don't want to cut anyone off, but I also don't want to, commandeer more of your time. I know webinars are not always what people want to spend their time doing. I understand. More payment comments. Yep, totally understand that. We don't have a FreshBooks sync green. We do only sync with QuickBooks at the moment. But great feedback again. Inquiries from Wedding Wire and the Knocker right in HoneyBook, not at the moment, Jeff. Again, I think your best option there would be creating those projects manually, unfortunately, because we don't have that direct integration right now. So Wiley, if you can turn a workflow, you can remove a workflow from a project very easily. So I'm not sure if I can find one that has one automatically, but let's just pop into a project here. Oh, there we go. So you can see that this project has a workflow associated. So maybe they've already received like an email or something like that, but you don't want them to receive the next one. All you have to do is click remove. So that will say, yep, no more steps, confirm. So you can just remove that way. But there isn't a way to say like, if you have that party, maybe it's like, every project that has the project type of party, you can't say before you even know they're coming in, like this one, I don't want to get the workflow. Like they will all get that one, but you can turn it off as soon as you need to once it's in there. Hope that makes sense. Where did the name HoneyBook come from? Great question. I believe early on, we had a slightly different business in mind, and it kind of came from whatever that was and has sort of stood the test of time as our legacy name. Wiley, call me later. Maybe we'll do a duet. All right. I think we'll call it there, you guys. Give everyone a couple minutes back in their day. Just a reminder, head to our help center to find any more info that you need. Click that question mark icon to live chat with our team. They're super helpful. Thank you all so much. This was super fun, super lively, a great crowd out there. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time. Again, I know webinars aren't always the most exciting thing, so hopefully we kept your attention a bit. Thank you, Mac, for answering all of these questions along the way too. So we will call it there. Now again, remember, we're not leaving you hanging. Click that question mark icon, message our team with any questions that come up. Thank you all so much again. That's our help center that Mac just linked to. We hope to hear from you again and hope HoneyBook is treating you all super well. Have a wonderful rest of your day and week. Bye, guys. We love you all.